thing. Now, what's interesting is that avian influenza is so weak, even high-path avian influenza, that 85 to 100 degrees kills it. That's why you never see it in the summer. Or you see it almost not. It doesn't happen in the summer much. It's mainly a winter thing. Now, what we've done now is we've destroyed. So in 2015, we killed 44 million chickens. Already in this outbreak, we've killed 58 million. And what you have to remember is that of those 58 million, I don't have the data. I don't know if anybody's keeping this kind of data, probably not. But just based on what I know with people in the industry, I would say of those 58 million destroyed, I would say probably 55 million were never sick. I just want you to appreciate in other words, I'm giving the benefit of the doubt and saying 3 million, okay, maybe 3 million actually had it. All right, I'll give that. But they're destroying these 50, 60, 70,000 bird flocks, even 100,000 bird flocks when one tests positive. You have to understand that they're doing this. They don't know where it comes from, how it spreads. There's very little actually known about high-path avian influenza, and yet this draconian effort comes in. There's only one cure in the Orthodox narrative, and the cure is complete extermination of everything. Now, what's interesting, there's an interesting thing. There's some under the radar work being done with a product called I think it's hypochloric acid, which again I have to smile because it sounds almost like hydroxychloroquine. But this is a completely non-toxic. Apparently you can drink this stuff, and it's now being used in very, very small slaughterhouses as a completely non-toxic disinfectant, almost like hydrogen peroxide, and which simply dissipates. And so there's a guy who is using this product on his chickens as a trial, and it appears to offer immunity to high-path avian influenza. I don't know a lot about this. This is kind of just under the radar right now. I did get this from a trustworthy source, so I do think it's happening. There's not been any double-blind studies on this, but I do think it's interesting that the unorthodox community is looking at other things, and you can be pretty sure that the whatever the narrative is that we're hearing is not true. To my knowledge, no. Oh, I should be careful about this. I don't know of any truly pastured flocks. Now, the one guy did have his were out on pasture, but he has very, very large flocks, and they run on the same ground. He probably is pushing the system a little too far, but all the others that I know are in barns. They're not clean and out on pasture, and so. A time will tell where we are. Now, let's talk about the egg spike in price. There's a suit right now. There's a legal suit that's been filed by I don't know, the farmers union or something, or some consumer union group against egg producers for the spike in egg prices, saying that the spike in egg prices shouldn't be so high because what's been killed so far is only like 6% of the egg supply, but prices have gone up, as you said, Sina, 60%, even some places 100%. So they're saying that this is price gouging within the industry. But what the filers of this consumer suit don't understand is that in food, which is a highly perishable product, margins are very, very small. When you see the margins from Apple Computer, for example, the technology sector, you see these margins of 30 and 40%. The cloud, all this stuff is high margins. But when you come to food, the margins are extremely low. So if you've got 100 eggs and a market for 100 eggs, that's of course in perfect balance. But if you've got a market for 100 eggs and you've only got 90 eggs, there is a mad scramble among those 90 buyers. I mean, among those 100 buyers to get those 90 eggs. If you had some wiggle room in there, if you were running on 30 and 40% margins, i.e., if there was normally 120 eggs for the 100 buyers, then there would be some forgiveness and wiggle room in it to accept a few shocks. But the reason that shocks in the food sector have a magnified effect in the marketplace is because perishables are time sensitive and margin sensitive. I mean, a lot of food items are in the 1 and 2% margin range, very, 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 very low. Because there's spoilage, there's sell by, there's all sorts of issues, and you can't keep an orange forever. You gotta grow it, you gotta sell it. So the margins are extremely small, which amplifies the hiccup. If there's a hiccup in supply, it's far more amplified than a hiccup in steel or something like that. So I've talked a lot here. I'm glad to have your thoughts here. Those are just some of the things that we're seeing. I can tell you that on our farm, we are not concerned about this at all. I can tell you that back the cycle before 2015, and I'm not sure when it was. Maybe it was these things seem to happen in 6 and 7 year cycles. So back in 2006 or 7 or something, we had another outbreak, and I actually had 2 of the federal vets on the extermination task force come and see us. They were from around the country. They'd heard about us. They just wanted to come and see the farm, and both of them independently, without provocation, told me that every federal vet, and I think there were 30 of them involved in the extermination process, both of them said unequivocally, all of us know that there's too many chickens crammed into too many houses in too close proximity. We all know that that's the problem. But if any of us says that publicly, we'll be fired tomorrow.